You're listening to Don't IEP Alone with special education advocate Lisa Lightner. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. Now back to the show with your host, Lisa.
Good morning. This is Lisa Lightner with Don't IEP Alone, my simple little podcast about IEPs, which has been MIA for a few weeks. So listen, I have really been struggling with the podcast and my ADHD and crippling perfectionism. So any of you who have any of those conditions, I think you understand. For those of you who have been here for much of the journey, this podcast started in 2019 when podcasts were just kind of starting to be a thing. And then what had happened is the pandemic, of course, and with just everybody home at my house, there was just no way to record podcast episodes with 4 people in the house, dogs, school, homeschool. So the podcast took a very long hiatus, and then I brought it back, and people liked it, which thank you. Very grateful for that. And then this summer, I was trying to figure out how can I make it better. It just feels flat to me. I don't like one-sided conversations where I'm just yammering on. At the same time, I don't really like interviewing people, and to be honest, to set up interviews with people, it takes a lot of time. It's just like back and forth. Let me check in, because they have their PR people reach out to me, and I don't have a PR person who does my scheduling. Like, I do it. Well, let me see this, and oh, can we reschedule? And it just seems to be like a lot of work for very little output, for one 20 or 30 minute episode. It's a lot of work. And especially since, as you know, I don't edit. I don't know. I'm not very good at editing, so I don't edit. Then over the summer, I did a road trip with my non-disabled child, and we went across Pennsylvania to visit some colleges. And I had told him, hey, we're going to be on these 3 and 4 hour car rides. Why don't you line up a couple of podcasts that you want to listen to or whatever, and that's what we'll do. So he did. And I knew they were going to be sports related, because that's his jam. That's our jam as a family. We love sports. If you're not familiar with the pro sports world, you may not know that there are so many professional athletes, current, retired, whatever, who have podcasts, because setting up a podcast is relatively inexpensive. Many of them do get contracts and things like that. And I'm not going to name any of them specifically, because that's not what I'm here to do, is to bash celebrities or bash athletes, whatever. But anyway, so we listened to these podcasts from these people, and to be honest, some of them are pretty famous people, either from the podcasting world or from the sports world. And I'm listening to these podcasts, and they were genuinely unlistenable. There were a couple times where I was just like, I'm sorry, dude, you got to change this. This is really unlistenable. The sound quality wasn't good. There were times where it's basically just 2 or 3 guys just sitting around talking for an hour about something. And so you see these clips on Instagram or whatever, Threads, the clips that get highlighted on social media where they said one really funny thing or one really outrageous thing. They told one really random story, but you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that. That is definitely a very small percentage or a segment of a podcast, because it was in some cases, almost an hour of just drivel to get 1 or 2 funny or interesting sound bites. And I'd be saying to Brian, what did he say? Wait, what did he just say? Because again, the sound quality was poor. Some of the ones that we listened to were people I was genuinely looking forward to listening to their podcast because I had heard so much about them, and not entertaining at all. Completely boring. I was like, what? Like, are these guys just talking because they have an hour to fill? Because this is really, really boring, and I don't understand why someone would tune in. All of that to say, now that I've rambled on for 4 minutes, is that I did not want that from my podcast, because I was like, oh my God, please tell me I don't sound like that. Please tell me that I'm not mumbling, rambling on about things that don't matter. So I came up with that idea, which maybe some of you saw it online last week. I came up with this 5 minutes to FAPE, and I've even trademarked it, all of that. And I thought, I'm just going to do these quick 5-minute chunks of information, one quick tip, 5 minutes, and you can go on with your day, and you're not listening to me drone on and on and on like I am right now. I went on Canva and I made myself a backdrop, and I got up that day and, made sure that I didn't look like a monster who just rolled out of bed. I put a little bit of makeup on, I brushed my hair, all that. And I just, in the end result, after I scheduled 2 weeks worth of them, I decided I was going to run them every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, since they're only 5 minutes. And so anyway, I got 2 weeks worth scheduled, and the first couple ran, and the way they were showing up on Instagram was horrible, and like half my head was cut off. And then for some reason, the formatting got super weird, and the little dot where the camera picks up me, where I'm talking about something in front of a slide of information, that it was in a really random spot in the middle of the slide, and it was super tiny. You couldn't see who it was, and you're just like, what's that dot in the middle of the slide? Anyway, I let 3 of them run last week, and after I took a look at them, I was like, oh my God, these suck. These fucking suck. So I deleted all of it. It's gone. So if you're looking for, like, hey, that was a great tip, I wanted to go back to it, I'm sorry, email me, I'll tell you what it was. But I'm starting over. I haven't quite hammered it all out yet as far as what I'm going to do for the podcast, as far as video versus audio only. Obviously today's is audio only, versus YouTube videos, versus reels where you can pick up bits of information. I'm just really struggling because I do have this kind of crippling perfectionism where if it doesn't look right, I get really upset, and then my impulsivity kicked in, because of course I deleted it all, and I was like, oh wait, I probably could have used that for a reel or something, even if I wasn't going to use it as a podcast. So they're gone. I deleted them because people with ADHD do that sometimes. You make a decision without thinking it through, and that's what I did. So anyway, I am trying to overcome this perfectionism, and also that, everybody gets so like glammed up these days for the camera, and like I see these podcasters, bloggers, whoever, and they just look like pretty, And I'll be honest, unless I'm going to an IEP meeting or something else out of the house, like I don't put makeup on, I wear sweats. I'm assuming like most people do. And I don't know. I just recorded a bunch of videos this morning, and it's me, right? It's me out walking my dog, and that's what you get, because I've kind of realized that if I wait for things to be perfect, it's never going to happen. That's just how it goes. So I hope that you'll stay tuned and be patient with me. If you have any suggestions of, what, I really liked it when you used to talk about this, or I really liked when you used to talk about that, or I would love to learn more about, because some of my most downloaded episodes are my longest episodes. So that isn't going unnoticed. Know that I do notice that the longer episodes are popular, but I'm just kind of trying to flesh out, is it that way because those episodes have been online the longest, right? Some of those episodes have been online for 6 years. And it's evergreen content, most of it. And so it can be downloaded again and again and again for 6 years. So I'm trying to kind of find the ideal spot, the ideal time frame, the topics for you guys. And I would, again, email me at IEP at a day in our shoes. And I would love to hear what you would love to hear. Other than that, we are in the early to middle of September. I have a couple of bits of advice for you. One is, if your child's teacher, your child is coming home with early in the year assignments and projects. I don't want to call it busy work, but the first couple of weeks, teachers are trying to, get into a routine, get into a rhythm. And, sometimes they give kids busy work. But not just, worksheets, things like that, to kind of get an idea of a snapshot of where is this child at this moment in time. What is this child's ability in this area, in this area, in this area. So if they are bringing those things home and you still have the content from last year, I would look at comparable assignments from last May or June, particularly if you did not get ESY and you wanted it, and particularly if you wanted a more robust or different ESY program and you didn't get it. Now would be a great time to look at that stuff from last May or June and say, see, listen here, this is where my child was in May or June. Here are the first couple of worksheets from September. And, glean from that whatever information you can. The other piece is that now that it is still just early September, you don't have to do everything, but do one small thing to reel in your organization and advocacy skills. So I highly recommend my IEP binder, which is free. There's a link in the show notes or comments. I highly recommend it. Start organizing your files and paperwork now. There's even a sheet in there to kind of plan out your school year. So you can get that school calendar that, you've probably already received, that, first marking period ends here and second marking period ends here. And this is when I can expect parent-teacher conferences. And this is when my IEP is up for renewal. Sounds like a lot. It's not. Do one small thing a day, because again, we're still in early September, and it's better than looking at a stack of papers at Thanksgiving time and then saying, oh my God, what am I going to do with all this stuff? Wait, when are parent-teacher conferences? You don't want to be shocked. You don't want to be surprised. So get that kind of out of the way now. Do those email folders. If your teacher's name is Mrs. Smith and Mrs. Jones or whatever, just create an email folder in your email platform to at least sort the information when it comes in, so that you're not completely overwhelmed in your inbox and you don't do impulsive things like me and you're just like, I'm so overwhelmed, I delete everything. And then we all know how that goes. You're like, oh my God, what happened to that email? I don't do that anymore. I haven't done that one in a while, because I do have lots of email folders. I have Brian's school, Brian athletics, Kevin medical, Kevin school, Kevin daily comm sheets, all the different things, so that as they come in, I can just sort them, and I always have them, and that's it. So, okay, so listen, this one is about 13 minutes, which is fine. Again, please email me your suggestions. I'm kind of at a loss here as far as where to go. Feeling just a little overwhelmed with trying to do all the things. That's the one thing. I love being an advocate. I love talking about IEPs. I love strategizing about IEPs. I love doing all that. What I don't love is, in order to reach people, that I have to be on Facebook and Instagram and blah, 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 blah. So it's, because those things don't, really generate income. So I can't justify paying someone to do that for me. Plus it needs to be me, my voice. It's me. So anyway, you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope your school year is going fantastic so far. I know I didn't even talk about the many things that are going on around us, including the Catholic school in Minnesota. Pennsylvania is still without a budget. There's a looming government shutdown, federal government shut. I mean, there's a lot going on, and I'm aware of it. Right now, I'm kind of staying in my lane with education and disability, medical stuff, so as not to get overwhelmed. But hang in there. We will get through this. You can also, if you have any IEP questions, you can always join village.adayinourshoes.com. Every question is answered by an advocate. So, again, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you for listening to Don't IEP Alone with special education advocate Lisa Lightner. We're so glad you've joined us and would love to connect with you outside of the show. For more information about Lisa, the IEP Toolkit, and more ways we can help you in your process, go to adayinourshoes.com. From self-care tips to common IEP mistakes, there's even more to explore. Don't forget to rate and review the podcast and subscribe to never miss an episode. Until next time, don't IEP alone, and you don't have to.